Hi, I am Abbas Maroof and my project is about public health with the topic of maternal mortality, the case of Indonesia. The Safe Motherhood Initiative was adopted by the World Health Organization to decrease the high rates of maternal mortality in developing countries. Towards this goal, various studies identify a short list of causes of maternal mortalities and recommended corrective programs. Indonesia put a number of such programs into effect, yet the maternal mortality rates have actually risen rather than fallen. The absence of big data analytics in public health is a problem, especially in developing countries, for many reasons. These are lack of understanding of the role of big data analytics, methods of collecting the big data, difficulties to get access to the databases, and lack of good governance, accountability, etc. In this case study of maternal mortality in Indonesia, I will show that D3 or data-driven document visualization can be used to produce dynamic interactive data visualization in web browser. Interactive visualization can help decision makers to explore the data easily by themselves and take crucial decisions to solve the problem. I used and modified three JavaScript codes in order to show three interactive graphs, the sortable bar chart, the D3 pie, and D3 donut pie. I used the data sets for the maternal mortality in Indonesia from the Health Ministry of Indonesia for all the three provinces and for the year 2012 as on the reference mentioned below. Before I show you all the coding and the figures, we want to guide you to some settings for D3 or data-driven documents. And also, we want first question is about what is a D3 or data-driven document. D3 or .js, which stands for JavaScript, or just D3 for data-driven documents, is a JavaScript library for manipulating documents based on data. D3 helps us bring data to life using HTML, SVG, and CSS. I will mention briefly these three later on. D3's emphasis on web standards gives you the full capabilities of modern browsers without tying yourself to a proprietary framework, combining powerful visualization components and a data-driven approach to DOM manipulation. D3 is written in JavaScript. Learning to use D3 often means learning a lot about JavaScript. So to do the setting, first we need to download the latest D3 from the D3 website and extract to subfolder D3. And then we download all the JavaScript source for code for the bar chart from this link and download the JavaScript sources codes for the D3 pie and D3 donut pie from this link. And finally, we download the data from the Indonesian Health Ministry and convert it to comma separated values CSV format from this link. And as you see in here in the format of Excel, then we convert it to CSV in this text editor. Text editor. So the second step now to setting up a D3 development environment. To do that, first step, we need to setting up a Python server. Python server, when you first download the Python from this link, then you download Git shell or use any terminal to do the, when we reach then the command prompt, navigate to source file directly and start a simple HTTP server with the following commands: a Python -f HTTP server with this represent the local host as you see from this window. You see once prompt this when you add this command, you get when you connected, you go to the you start localhost by using any browser or favorite browser. But in my case, I used Chrome, and we need also to develop to open the developer tools. And finally, also D3 is a simply based on JavaScript coding. We need to use text editor, which I use here, not Notepad plus, and you can download it from this website. Now we all set. We can now start our coding and visualization. Uh, Before also we need to define the second step to define the DOM. The DOM, which stands for Document Object Model. Using text editor, we can open the index.html, which is part of the package when you download the D3 from the company from the website. Then the DOM is the hierarchical structure used for representing elements in the browser. And this is what a typical simple DOM, which describes the object model that the browser generates when it braces the HTML document. Adding actual JavaScript code between these scripts tags. We see like these tags. We notice there are two types of tags. One, these tags and this type of with the slash, those are DOM HTML elements. And once we understand the DOM, now we have to open. Also, we can you can change directly the code by using from the web inspector. We can find this web inspector by using the developer tools. We can do live modification to the DOM. For example, H1 in this the developer tools, the web we can indicate to heading. You can change the contents of the H1 and refresh it. And the fourth part, which is we need to understand CSS, what it stands for, which is cascading style sheets, which making it pretty. What does it mean? It's just, CSS simply is a language for specifies how documents are presented to user. HTML set the structure and content of the page, and like font color you change and within the code. Then finally, with SVG, with scalable vector graphics for graphs and drawing shapes. And SVG is an XML-based language for drawing vector graphs in the browser. HTML and SVG are similar. HTML defines the content and structure of elements such as headings, paragraphs, images, and so on. And also the graphical markers like circles, rectangle, and path. Before we do the coding, I just want to mention the few advantages and disadvantages that we picked it up from the blog, which is I found it very useful to mention. It, for example, why makes D3 is so great for the visualization? Why did it succeed when so many other libraries have failed? What are D3 disadvantages? And then the first bullet I mention the advantages. First advantage, which it works on the web, which is make it for data visualization are only good if people see them, and there is no better place than you can see to them than on the internet in your browser. Another reason it works so well because it's flexibility. It's so flexible, and you can manipulate it any part of the document. And also the third part, which is it is not graphics library or nor is it a data processing library. It doesn't have a pre-built charts that limit creativity. Instead, has tool that makes a connection between the data and graphs easy. And finally, all of these features have been timed perfectly to coincide with the rise of new browsers and push toward documents created using open standard rather than relatively walled in blocks. And disadvantage, only one disadvantage, which is the DOM manipulations can be extremely slow for large numbers of entries. SVG also has performance limitation when dealing with a large quantity of elements. And then we start doing now to show you using D3 to analyze our case study, which is maternal mortality, the case of Indonesia. Now, first we need to understand the data. Maternal mortality is the number of women who die from pregnancy-related causes while pregnant or within 42 days of pregnancy terminations per 100,000 live births. This map shows the provincial chart of Indonesia with respect to the maternal death. For each province, you see the number in here mentioned that how many women died in that year, which is 2012. To visualize this, we have the data, two columns, one for the province, one for the number of deaths of women, and then we can use the code, which is already all these codes which I'm going to mention in here already in the my zip file, and on this code which has been modified to show you some results. Now, if you go to show you the demo how this works, we go back to the main code, which is we will start with the sortable bar chart. The first example is to demonstrate how to sort a bar chart and eliminate and reordering. It makes it easier to follow the individual paths by pressing this HTML which code. We will have the bar chart, but when we sort it out by pressing this button, you see the bars arranged from the highest to lowest for the province, which is in here represent the range of maternal mortality of different provinces of Indonesia for year 2012. And now the second part of the example is visualization of the as a form of pie. The pie chart provides a useful tools way of to fitting and describe the values. For example, if you press this portions of the pie, it's dislocated from the original and show the percent of the highest percent for this province, and so on, and you can distinguish between them, which is a very good tool to make the people understand this better. And finally, I would just want to show the final one, which is the donut pie chart. This part I just added because we want to show the top high reasons for maternal mortality in Indonesia by adding all these reasons and how much percent. This percent I just added because there is no still no real value, but I added just to show this is the main reasons which cause the maternal mortality in Indonesia. If you press one of the portion again, it's dislocated and show the main reason and so on interactively. Finally, I want to conclude. Just mention some concluding remarks to my presentation. First, interactive visualization do help significantly in data exploration and decision making. To do further works with D3 would require knowing more about JavaScript programming. Dynamic interactive visualization can empower people to explore the data for themselves. When we designing or analyzing a system, we must consider some limitations such as computational capacity, human interpretation, and display capacity. Thank you.